Welcome everybody to another episode of Section 305. I'm Raul Pagan with my friends and co-workers from the Miami Heat organization, Kolya Zabler and Nick Dupont. How's it going, guys?
It's going good, Raul. How you doing today?
Great.
Good to hear that. Oh, everything good. You already know, like battling with 3 jobs at the same time, but we're grinding. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, it's Miami life, man.
Yes,
Keep that grind going.
basically gotta level up, and our good friend Anthony Aguirre is absent due to personal reasons, and so he's very excused, and hopefully they get everything resolved.
Him and his family are the best.
Yep.
And so-
Going towards him and his family.
Yes, sir. Amen to that. But I'm glad to hear that his dad is doing well, so we'll see him on next episode. Let's get to the first topics, which basically something that we predicted in the West Coast, but not in the East Coast. At least by the ending of the season, with the Indiana Pacers making it to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2000, closing the series at home against the New York Knicks, winning 125 to 108. And then the team that has been back-to-back number one in the West and number one taking home court advantage through the whole playoffs, including the NBA Finals, for the first time since 2012, since that trio between Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook made it to the finals, losing against the trio of the Miami Heat. So this is actually an interesting, it could be in a good or bad way matchup, because basically the ratings are going to be horrible, in my opinion. Because marketing-wise, Thunders, yeah, Oklahoma City, but they're a young team with an MVP. They got Jalen Williams, who just became an all-star, and he's a reliable second scorer. Chet Holmgren, he got number 2 in voting behind Victor Wembanyama and win Rookie of the Year. And little by little, we're having so much expectations from him to become like an elite power forward center in the league. And then you got this young core that produce either offense or defensively. And then they're facing a veteran team like the Indiana Pacers, who also got a couple of young players like Andrew Nemhard and Aaron Nesmith. But at the beginning of the season, they had zero expectations to make it to the NBA Finals. To the Eastern, we couldn't debate that, but watching the Cavaliers and Celtics, they were clearly the odds-on favorite to make it. Both of them disappointed in the second round, which we can talk about that in the nearest future. But guys, what do you guys see in this upcoming NBA Finals between the Thunder and the Pacers? Like, do you like this matchup?
I'll let you kick it off.
Appreciate it. Well, in this matchup, I want to say it's going to be OKC in 5. If Indy does steal a second game, apologies. If they do steal a second game, I will see OKC winning in 7. I think OKC will take them the distance if they do take 2 games on them. Sorry, I mean Indy. If Indy takes 2 games on OKC, they're going to take it the distance. But I still think they're going to lose at the end of the day. I think this is OKC's finals in the bag.
What about you, Kolya?
Man, you already know. I am picking the Indiana Pacers
What?
to win.
Oh,
the
come
NBA Finals.
on.
They've been doubted against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They've been doubted against the New York Knicks. They're doubted against the Oklahoma City Thunder. They have a championship-winning head coach, a guy who's won a championship with Pascal Siakam, right? They've won a lot of close games. If these games are close, I trust the Pacers more than I trust the Thunder, because the Thunder have been blowing people out, right? They haven't really had too many close games outside of the Nuggets series, but they won that series. That was a really close game. Indy has more depth than Denver. So I like Indiana in 7 to get it done in OKC's building.
Then OKC, you mean? You said Denver.
You said.
Yes.
Man, I got OKC maximum in 6, minimum 5 games. Kolya, you're talking about a team that literally led the league defensively in every single statistics. And they proved it during the playoffs. I mean, you seen them blowing out teams. Yeah, okay, of course. The offense has also been doing the job when they got a leading scorer like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, a second reliable like Jalen Williams. Chet Holmgren has his moments. Then you got Lou Goins-Dort, who basically is a key player just because he had to guard the stars of each opponent that they face from the Memphis Grizzlies was with Desmond Bain. Sometimes he had to switch up with John Morant. In the Denver series, you saw what he did to players like Jamal Murray when he had to either guard or Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr. every time they were switching up. And then did you just witness what he did to Anthony Edwards, the guy that I said, and I know I'm still gonna call him like the future face of the league. He's got the swag. He's got like the marketing wise. He's got the talent. A lot of people have been talking about Jordan-esque, this and that. But then in the big moments like the Western Conference Finals, Lucas Dort had him on lock. And if it was not him, it was either Alex Caruso. And did you saw Alex Caruso guarding the best player in the world in the second round and basically making him force turnovers, bad shots, make bad decisions, when that's exactly the opposite that you see from a guy like Nikola Jokic. Their defense is even more aggressive, physical than the Timberwolves team last year when they were number one, and they also knocked out, by that time, they were the NBA champions, the Denver Nuggets, in a 7-game series. It doesn't matter how you take them out. It's that you exactly do the job.
I mean, I will say, I think this is going to be a little bit of a hot take, but I think the biggest X factor in this entire series is actually Pascal Siakam. I think having a veteran like Pascal Siakam on your team, like Indiana, especially where you've been in this, not been in this exact position, but you're in the position to actually take it home. And last year, that was the objective. It was to take it home, and they couldn't do that. But having Pascal Siakam, who's previously won with Kawhi Leonard.
I mean, but do you think like the Pacers with a Boston Celtics team, do you think they could have won that series in the third round? I mean, they actually surpassed expectations.
Well, I think they could have. I think Rick Carlisle's offense would have actually absolutely dominated the Boston Celtics. I don't think the Boston Celtics would have been able to run with the Indiana Pacers, especially with Aaron Nesmith, who was balling out in the previous series. You have Tyrese Halliburton hitting game winners, or sending teams basically into the overtime and winning games. You know what I'm trying to say.
I'm
trying to think. I really believe that Pascal Siakam is going to be the biggest piece for them, just because of his defense, interior, exterior. He can do everything on the court. He's not the greatest ball handler. Obviously, he's a power forward. But dude, this guy, he's proven time and time again that he is a winner. And he won his ring, and he has his veteran leadership. So I really like Pascal Siakam here. I think he's actually going to lock up Chet in game one.
I think the X factor for Indianapolis is Andrew Nembhard. I mean, he has been playing really, really well in these playoffs, and he's been able to guard the top guys like Brunson, and Dame, and before Dame got hurt, but you know what I mean. Like, he was able to, he is a pest defensively. He's kind of like Indiana's version of Lou Dort in a way.
Yeah, that's a good way to
So,
I mean, but Luke Dort is.
Lou Dort is more.
He's a linebacker. He's a linebacker. That's the difference.
Yeah.
He's a linebacker.
But Andrew Nembhard is really great on the defensive end. Indiana, these two teams both deserve to be here, right? They're both so deep, and they have, they've been playing guys, like OKC put in Kenrich Williams in the last couple of series. They are and Indiana put in Mathurin, Toppin, they put in all of these guys, Nesmith, and now Nesmith is starting. So, they have what it takes to be there. I just think that they get it done with I think luck will be on their side. This is what I'm trying to say.
I want to piggyback on something that you said, Nick, and I know that we cannot live life with what ifs, because, what I'm saying, that we're going to always live with, regrets. Mm-hmm. And that's something that, what I'm saying, obviously, if we would have done this wouldn't happen, but hey, everything happens for a reason. Everything is God's plan in our way. I'm saying, the goods and the bads we will never understand it, but we have to in order to surpass it. So I don't want to include the what ifs, but at the same time, what if against the New York Knicks second round last season, Randall wouldn't have been injured, Mitchell Robinson wouldn't have been injured, Josh Hart got injured during the process, then they lost Jalen Brunson in the most important game from the Knicks in decades, because they were one game away from making it to the finals for the first time since 1999 to the Eastern Conference Finals since 1999, and they had to do it this season with a healthier core, but at the same time, lack of depth from the bench. So at the same time, and I agree with you in the Celtics series that game one was in their bags. I think they lost the momentum from that. They committed so many turnovers. At the same time, Rick Carlisle, Hall of Fame coach, he's a champion with the Dallas Mavericks. He started his career with the Indiana Pacers. He knows the organization top to bottom. And you know what I'm saying? I've actually like admired him having to, how do you say, after leaving the Mavericks, try to rejuvenate, exactly, rejuvenate, and with this team that little by little they've been creating a contender. It took a couple of years for that to happen, especially when they made that trade with Domantas Sabonis sending him to the Sacramento Kings, and then they acquired Tyrese Haliburton, Buddy Hield. Miles Turner has always been in the trade block, and he's never been traded to any team. He's been all his career with the Indiana Pacers. And then the drafts, that's actually a team that silently, a lot of people were blinded with the picks that they've had and the way that they develop those type of players that they have in the rotation. And so eventually, yes, especially in a flexible Eastern Conference, we could have seen the Pacers make it to the finals. I don't believe none of us had them at the beginning of the season because they had a rough start. Even when they resigned Pascal Siakam, staying basically with the same core. Like, I saw them like making it to the second round, watching the Cavaliers striving, watching the Boston Celtics with injured players, star players, and they still were in the second seed. And you already know what their experience during the playoffs. Like, those teams were expected to make it to the third round. All right, we didn't got that matchup. Mostly we could have seen the Celtics with or without Tatum making it to the Eastern Conference. Why am I saying that? They blew two 20-point leads. First time that has ever happened in NBA playoff history. So there's also a scenario that we actually weren't going to see the Knicks in the Eastern. It could have been Boston, but even with Boston or the Knicks, after what we witnessed against the Cavaliers, I had Indiana going to the finals. I said, if they knock out the Cavaliers, I don't care if it's the Knicks, I don't care if it's the Celtics. I got Pacers game 6 or 7 games with both teams, with a healthy or non-Jason Tatum. If the Celtics would have gone to this round, he wasn't going to play. He's out for the season. And if they wouldn't have blown those 20-point leads, and at the same time they won game 3, they could have been 3-0 against the Knicks. And then losing Tatum in game 4. They went back to Boston, game 5 and 1. So that series could easily been a 4-1 Boston winning to go into the Eastern Conference. The same thing we can talk about second round last postseason with the Pacers and Knicks. If the Knicks players wouldn't lose little by little, their role players, their star players, etc., it should have been the Knicks and the Celtics in the Eastern Conference. So I understand, like, we cannot always depend and live on the what ifs in lives. But at the same time, you can take in consideration, do you really saw that team like making it all the way? Like, were they exposed or were they not? Like, either with injuries or not, did you still saw that team making it all the way? So when we talk about the OKC Thunder, I actually, since the beginning of the season, said they are title contenders. Because look at the way they play defense. Then we were trying to analyze teams in the West. Like, who's the biggest threat? Is it the Rockets? No, because they're a young team. Yeah, they're on the way, and they got a good coach like Ime Udoka. You see the Memphis Grizzlies. They got so many issues in and out of the court. You see the Los Angeles Lakers making the trades. You see the Clippers, like, is Leonard going to be healthy or not? You see the Denver Nuggets, like, being inconsistent, still being in the top seeds. And then they fire Michael Malone. And then you see the San Antonio Spurs that we could have witnessed them being on the play-in. But then Victor Wembanyama goes out. Before that, Greg Popovich, thank God he's healthy, he's good. And now, something that people like Kolya probably and Anthony want to see, like certain coaches taking their talent to the front office and now becoming.
Yeah, I know where this is going.
No,
I know.
No, but I'm not going. We're not gonna go. We're not gonna get into it. I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say about what we saw from the San Antonio Spurs, what we saw from the trio of the Phoenix Suns. Yet another year disappointing. So we're analyzing this type of West teams, and you're like, all right. So who actually can take them out of the playoffs? I didn't see nobody. I think Denver actually was the only one that could have convinced us.
Yeah, they were the closest ones.
So basically, I had the Thunder going all the way, but when you see the East side, there's so many like debatable discussions that we can have. Like, did the Pacers earn it or not? Like, if this wouldn't have happened, should they actually be in the NBA Finals? That's what I'm trying to get to.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the Pacers are going to 100% be in the finals. They've definitely earned it. Like, they haven't had a little Mickey Mouse run like Boston, for example, who won the finals off of.
Easy. Yeah, I agree.
Even against Boston, I still think they would have won, even if they had Tatum. I think it would have gone to 7 that series, and it sounds crazy to say. And I don't want to sound like a bandwagon hopping on the Pacers train because I've never been a Pacers fan in my life. But I do know my basketball, and this Pacers team is built to win. They have everything that they need. And they're very similar to OKC. I think OKC does have more firepower, and I think their coach is better. And this coach has been building this roster for years now. So these guys are well acquainted with each other, and they have the chemistry to face Indiana. And yes, Indiana, they made the Eastern Conference Finals last year. But again, OKC, they're just going to get the job done. And even at the beginning of the season, everyone knew that OKC was going to be one of the best teams in the league. My personal top 3 teams out of the West were LA, the Clippers in specific, the Nuggets, and the Thunder, obviously. But the only team that I had really beating the Thunder was the Nuggets, and after that, it was just kind of set in stone that the Thunder were going to go on regardless. Like, I think everyone watched that series and was like, yeah, the winner of this series is going to the finals. Like, even with Anthony Edwards from Minnesota, dude, he hasn't proven himself still. And, like, he may have these, like, great seasons of 25-plus points per game, and every year he's getting better, like Tyler Hero, for example. Like, he's showing potential, and he's showing, like, he can move forward. But he still hasn't come up in those big moments where they really need him. And that's the difference between OKC and Minnesota.
That's true. That's actually true.
They have players that know how to step up in big moments, like Jalen Williams, even Luke Dort, or how am I going to say Aaron Wiggins, for example, who's a very underrated guy.
Casey Wallace.
Another good guy. Yeah. And when you have arguably a top 3 player in the league, and I don't want to say top 2 basically, because Jokic is the best player in the league. I'm going to stand by that, no matter what anybody says.
Definitely.
You're going to win. And especially with Shea and his style of leadership that he has, especially with all these young guys, it's going to come into form for them. And again, going back to Indy, it's well-deserved. They had a great playoff run, and I think they're going to show a lot of people in the finals what they're really about. But I don't think they're going to show too much because I do see them getting blown out in game 1.
What do you think about that one, Kolya?
Well, first, I want to say what Anthony's predictions were. So he said Pacers, laser, mama, I got hit with a taser.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he really tried his best for, what was that, Shannon
He tried to do the Shannon Sharp.
You did try to.
That was cringe, Anthony. But
we're giving you a strike for that one. You're not here, but we're giving you a strike.
Yeah, he's getting a strike for that.
That's actually 1.5 strike.
Yeah,
in my opinion, that's 1.5 strike.
It definitely is.
And I'm being humble. I could have given him 2, just like that. I'm trying to be humble.
And
but
at some point, sorry to cut you off, but at some point we really gotta do something about these strikes, man. We gotta start implementing strike rules because if someone is cringy, we gotta kick them out or something.
Basically, like a penalty in NHL, where we're gonna get to it in a couple of minutes. Like, basically, you're out for 2 minutes, and let's just say like Draymond Green when he overexcess in technical fouls and then he gets suspended. Like, if you get another strike, then there's an additional minute, like 3 minutes, and then we just continue going with the flow. But Kolya, I actually wanted to ask you this. When the playoffs started, did you have Indiana coming out of the East? Like when the playoffs started? I'm not talking about because I had Indiana coming out of the East when they beat the Cavaliers with or without Tatum.
When they beat the Cavs, I thought they had a chance.
Got it.
At the beginning, no. But they've been playing like a champion, right? If the Thunder weren't the Thunder, they would easily be. I think they would have crushed the Timberwolves, right? But
That actually, that,
they're running into
I would agree with that
team.
one. I would agree with that one. If it was Minnesota and Indy, the ratings would have even been worse than what we're gonna witness. Trust me. But because
Hey,
this is
I
not.
love it. I love this kind of finals. This is what the NBA is
I
made for.
agree. I love the fact that we're gonna have 7 different champions in 7 different seasons. I think
It
it's
shows
really
it
cool.
shows the diversity of the league. You know.
Like, yeah,
No.
it's small market teams, but I think it's good for the game.
But
Really
they're showing how to be successful in a smaller market.
And
You draft players
not
and make
yeah.
good trades, and you can be in the NBA finals.
unlike Charlotte, who's just terrible.
Unlike
at
Charlotte,
drafting.
Trash,
Well,
very trash.
Sorry for the shot. Anthony.
I have a take on the Wizards, but that'll be for a different.
The Wizards and the Hornets should be
I have
out
a-
of
I
the.
have a
They should
take
be
on
out
the
of the
Wizards.
league. They should be out of the league.
No, I have
right
a take
now.
on the Wizards.
Relegated, move
but
down
but,
to the
but
NBA.
that's for a different time.
All right, so Kolya, like I understand what the points that you've had, and Nick as well. Like Nick, you're going to OKC. Kolya, you're going to Indiana. I'm rooting for the Thunder as well, but I'm
Hey,
getting.
man,
I'm,
I gotta be different. I
no,
gotta,
of course. It's the
If,
same.
if I'm right, you guys gotta post me.
Oh no, of course, that's definitely we gotta give you all the credit for that. I mean, like just like when I predicted because I gave Minnesota the benefit of the doubt. I thought Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle they were gonna come off big, force a game 6, and I even said the Thunder will take it on the road in a 6-game series. I had the Pacers winning at their home court in a 6-game series because I mean, like the NBA is losing money with how quick this type of series are ending, except the Knicks and Pacers. And at the same time, now having like a low marketing type of matchup. Yeah, at the same time, like the revenues and all that, that's gonna affect them. Like this is a final series that us sports analysts and fans are looking forward to it, obviously. But then you see the outside fan base that they're just like, all right, they want to see like the Lakers, the Celtics, the Knicks, like a big name or a franchise like the Golden State Warriors that have had their dynasties. A team like a Phoenix Suns that they made it to the finals with like veteran players and star players, John Kors.
That was a somewhat smaller market final too. Like Milwaukee and Phoenix, they're not like the biggest cities, but Milwaukee won a title. Like Milwaukee's a relatively smaller city than a lot of these bigger cities. So,
Right, but at the same time, the ratings weren't that bad as we thought. And that was a year coming out of COVID.
Exactly, because it had Chris Paul potentially winning his first
Devin Booker,
Giannis and Booker, and like they had the good recipe.
It was also-
I think though this finals. Sorry to cut you off, but this finals, I think a lot of people aren't gonna watch it because a lot of people don't like Halliburton and they don't like Shea. But those are
how's that? What do you mean?
A lot of people a lot of people don't like Shea because of the foul baiting stuff.
Okay, yeah,
And he's always at the free throw line. The
Yeah.
jokes are here,
yeah.
And then a lot of people don't like Halliburton. They just don't think he's not like the superstar like guard that everybody wants to picture
The
as
overrated guy.
is perfect. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I thought he was diagnosed as underrated.
Well,
he is underrated,
Mm.
but the league's players said he was overrated. So a lot of people don't really like these two guys, but they're gonna prove that hey, look, we can fight and we can compete for a championship.
Maybe like a lot of people were thinking about that type of situation because first of all, just like even he trolled himself saying, "Oh, when you get a on a group project and do absolutely nothing." I mean, it's not it. It's not his fault. He didn't get minutes in Team USA. Even Jason Tatum didn't get minutes in Team USA. Also, watching that he wasn't an All-Star this season. It was Pascal Siakam.
Yep.
And then watching Pascal Siakam winning the Eastern Conference. I mean, that's a debatable. Like I felt like either Siakam or Halliburton would have been a good decision.
I think Siakam deserved it though because he was more consistent. I think throughout the 6 games.
But
Halliburton had the triple double, but then the next game he had 8 points, and they lost by like 20. So that to me really doesn't scream Finals MVP.
All right, but
double-double.
Eastern
He's
Conference
supposed to be more
Finals
consistent
MVP.
with it.
Yeah.
but there's a difference. Like Pascal Siakam, when he goes big, he goes big. then when he has a bad game, like where does he contribute? Because if
Usually-
Halliburton is playing bad
Halliburton
offensive,
is more notable
if Halliburton is playing bad offensively, he at least facilitates the ball
Not really. I mean,
and limits
He had
his
like 5 assists.
limits his turnovers. Look at the stats.
yeah, but when he's on, he's on. It's like Siakam. It's when he's on, he's on.
Yeah, but the difference with Siakam is that when Siakam is on the floor and he can't produce defensively, he's always going to step in. I think
Yeah.
he's way better of a defender than Halliburton. He's puts up more rebounds than Halliburton, puts up more blocks.
Oh,
more steals.
definitely, yeah, definitely.
He's a better piece when he's not like good offensively than Tyrese Halliburton. Because when Halliburton can't contribute to his team, there's just honestly no hope for the.
So basically, what you guys are saying is some similarities between him and Tatum and Pascal Siakam and Jaylen Brown. The inconsistency that you are talking about with the face of the franchise, because who's the face of the franchise? That's Halliburton. That's not Pascal
It's
Siakam.
Halliburton.
And the same thing with the Boston Celtics. Who's the face of the franchise? Jason Tatum. But who's the guy who produces more in the big moments and especially in the playoffs? Yeah, Tatum has had his big games. You saw Halliburton having his big moments and big games. Pascal Siakam and Jaylen Brown are actually the ones that are going to be more efficient and more consistent players that you're going to how do you say, depend more, and they're both the ones that are getting paying less than the faces of both franchises.
But that's how that shows what a real player is, like a real true team player who knows what to do to get to where he wants to be. I feel like Siakam's always been one of those team first kind of players where he just wants to win. Like he doesn't really care about the accolades.
Yeah.
Like he just wants his rings. I mean, that's from what I see at least. If you're
Yeah.
a Toronto fan or an Indiana fan, you can let us know if I'm wrong. But from what I see, at least, it's just he's a team player and he wants what's best for his team,
Exactly.
And I think that's why him and Hallie mesh so well because Hallie has a little bit of an ego, but he also knows what's best for his team as well, even when he can't facilitate the ball.
What's crazy is that obviously in this finals matchup, injuries could be a factor at the same time. Like in the Toronto and Golden State series, people actually, they're not giving credit to the Raptors the way they made it to the finals, but there's zero excuse from the Sixers losing that series. There's zero excuse from the Bucks losing that series. And the Raptors, they actually had talented players. I mean, you see the Marc Gasols, Serge Ibaka, Kawhi Leonard, Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam, Norman Powell. They were actually stacked. Some of them were not in their prime, but they actually had a decent team. Obviously, you would not put them above Golden State if Durant wouldn't got injured, if Klay Thompson wouldn't got injured in the Game 6. The same thing could happen in this series. Call that you got Indiana winning from the start. So, you know what I'm saying? If both of them are healthy, the Pacers actually win the chip for the first time in franchise history. This is actually going to be one of the most, maybe not surprising, but interesting championship run by a team, especially when they are the underdogs and they beat underdogs against the Cavaliers. They were underdogs against the Knicks.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
And now they're underdogs against the OKC Thunder. But at the same time,
keep doubting them, and they keep proving them wrong.
But then now, all right. So if this is a healthy matchup, do you think offense from the Pacers is gonna be enough? Because they're not a good defensive team. And we saw it against the starting lineup of the Knicks. The starting lineup of the Knicks were averaging minimum 90 points, maximum over 110 points per game with 5 players. You see the bench from the Knicks, they were averaging 15 or less or 10 or less. You know what I'm saying? They had to, with 8 players, because we're talking about the depth of the Pacers, the starting lineup, plus Obi Toppin, Benedict Mathurin, TJ McConnell. Sometimes they had Thomas Bryant, and sometimes they put Ben Shepherd, Jarvis Walker. All of them had to defend a starting lineup. The Knicks had to defend a whole collective team.
That's that Tom Thibodeau system, baby.
Exactly. We'll talk about that later because we're not going to get into it. I'm not trying to get in.
One final thing here. This is the third matchup in NBA Finals history where a 1 seed has played a 4 seed, and it's split. So that's interesting.
Okay, but
I just wanted to point that out.
But with no, that's a interesting fact, right? With the OKC Thunder, just to be wrapping up this topic, I mean, they're the most completed team. Like I told you guys, I feel like both of them match up well in depth. Like they both of them got bench, both of them got a good starting lineup, both of them got how do you say height. You know what I'm saying? That you know what I'm saying. There's no like, oh, this team has a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Advantage in that department, but I'm gonna give the edge on the Thunder, obviously defensively, because they're number one in every single statistic. And in my opinion, between Cavaliers and Nuggets, who do you think was actually a harder matchup?
Denver, without a doubt.
Denver.
Because
For sure.
because Cleveland, yeah, they were good, but they proved to be a regular season team, and they played against
Exactly.
they played against a very weak, dysfunctional Miami team that just could not compete in the big moments, obviously. And then when they finally played someone that was
You hear that? You hear that, Kolya? You hear that? You hear that, Kolya?
once they
Different video.
and once they played someone that actually had experience, look what happened. They ended up losing. They couldn't compete, and they just got mollywopped basically.
For me, the finals was against Denver. I agree with you because I mean they could have easily lost that series against Denver. You know, and when the Nuggets took that 1-0 lead, I was like, wow, now it's dangerous.
Rudy Gobert is going to guard Jokic? I don't think so. Alex Caruso is the only man that I've seen this season been able to guard Jokic like the way he did.
Exactly, and when Luguent's door had to come off and help. You know what I'm saying? He also produced. So what I'm saying is this team is more aggressive and physical in the defensive side. They actually complement each other. You see the MVP doing his thing, you know what I'm saying? Especially when they need him the most. And he's been very, very consistent. He's shooting 50%, 40% from the three-point line, 90% in the free throw line. He almost finished those stats during the season. He was about to join that elite club of players who finish with 50, 40, and 90. He's doing that during the playoffs. And Jalen Williams at the same time, like he's a dog.
Yeah.
Like he likes this type of moments. Now, I believe that Chet Holmgren, he needs to step up, especially make those free throws. He needs to also have like a big game that we can say, because there's not been a single game throughout all three series that OKC faced, the Grizzlies, the Nuggets, and the Timberwolves that we would say, all right, that win is because of Chet Holmgren. Because we can easily say it's always been Shea, it's always been Jalen Williams, and then we can say Isaiah Hartenstein was an X factor in some games over him, both sides of the court. You can see the young core like Isaiah Joe or Jalen Williams with the Y, Casey Wallace, and other players, Lou Gwens Dort in the defensive side that we say, all right, they won because of that play or that player or what he produced. But tell me one game that you say, all right, Holmgren was the reason why the Thunders won this game in this series. So I feel like he should be an X factor, especially when he's going to be guarding a big man that shoots from the three-point line, like Miles Turner, and also creates situation offensively. He's also a little ball handler. Not that type of like, ball handler, but you know what I'm saying? He defends himself, and he can also like attack the paint, you know what I'm saying? Find open players like Andrew Nemar, Aaron Nesmith, TJ McConnell. I mean, we saw in that series that Mitchell Robinson could not catch up to him. He literally was tired every time that he had to defend Miles Turner, or if they had to switch up with Karl-Anthony Towns. I just saw Karl-Anthony Towns also doing damage towards him.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, actually, I think Chet Holmgren needs to take the role of Chris Bosh in this scenario. And I feel like he already kind of is.
Interesting.
He hasn't really shown a lot, but he's played to his role, you know, where he's playing to his three-point shots when he's open. He's comfortable on the three-point range. He needs to drive when he needs to. He needs to make plays. He's been blocking shots. He's been rebounding. He's been doing the little things like Chris Bosh. The only difference is Chris Bosh never had a three-point shot until he retired, before he retired. But yeah, Holmgren needs to pick up that third role of that glue guy, and I think he already is. Like, you can see like flashes of it. I don't want to say he's having flashes of Chris Bosh because they're two completely different.
Of course, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
He has flashes of being that glue guy, to be him. He's him. Like, he can be that guy to help your team take you to the next level. And I think we're going to see a lot of that this series. And I was also going to mention that if Jalen Williams does go down, I still think the Thunder can defeat the Pacers. I think that's how.
Oh man, I'm sorry for that, but now that would be disrespecting the Pacers, and I would definitely say if Jalen Williams goes out, I'm picking the Pacers in that scenario.
I am that high on Chet Holmgren and Shea, man. And the entire team. Mark D'Anol has been a fantastic coach. He knows how to play his players when he needs to, and he has a system for it. Like kind of like the Florida Panthers, where they have their system for their set guys. Yeah, they have these great players that may not start, but they know how to get the job done in big moments, and that's what OKC has shown.
Nick, but you gotta understand that it's not about the talent, because I'm not gonna disrespect the Thunder like that. Oh, Jalen Williams goes out, it's a wrap. Like, I still can see them going in a 6-7 game series, but the Pacers would have that edge because this actually affects them more mentally. Like momentum wise, they're gonna be thinking about that, and they're like, even though their mindset, they're professionals, they got a good team, they're still a contender team, but once you make it all the way there, and then you lose like literally a consistent key piece that just became all-star for the first time in his career, and he's been balling during the playoffs, knocking down important shots for the team, and then Shea loses that. Like, I understand Chet Holmgren, but for me to be saying Holmgren needs to be an X factor in this series is because in all 3 series, he's done the little things, like you said, which I understand, and I agree with you 100%. But there's not been a single game that you say, oh, it's because of Holmgren that we won the game. That's what, and then if he gets that opportunity, is he gonna live up for that moment? Is he gonna be ready to shine?
I think he is. I personally think he is. Listen. Indiana has one of the best offenses in the NBA, if not the best offense, with the Rick Carlisle system that they're under. Regardless of the talent, Mark D'Anol's system that he has built has been built to defend this. Yeah. Like the way he plays his players and rotates his guys, it is perfect. And again, I'll go back to Alex Caruso guarding Nikola Jokic. Like you can afford to have an all-star player go down because the points are going to come from somewhere else. Luke Dort has stepped up, Casey Wallace, Aaron Wiggins. So it's not just about the talent; it's about the system that they are in. They have such a perfect system for their guys where they're just going to be able to succeed moving forward, regardless of losing it. Now the only difference is if Shea goes down, that's when the series is over. Shea is the main guy on that team, and he's the facilitator and the leader. So even if J-Dub goes down, he's just be like, guys, like we can do this. Like this is our team. Like regardless of J-Dub and him providing points, we can get points from somewhere else, and people will step up. Like Chet Holmgren, I really think Chet Holmgren's going to show a lot of people what he's about. He's going to pick up that Chris Bosh role, and if someone goes down, we're going to see what he's really about. He's going to ball out.
I'm going to give you both the last word before switching and doing the transition to NHL, but I just want to say one thing. I respect that you are giving this type of praise to Chet Holmgren. It's understandable. Look what he did with Gonzaga. He lost his first season because of injury, and then his first 2 seasons have been good. I mean, he was a runner-up for Rookie of the Year. If Victor Wembanyama would have gone crazy, and Victor Wembanyama even averaged MVP type of numbers, and even Defensive Player of the Year type of blocks and steals. But what I'm trying to say is, when you have a young player like him, and then you saw what happened with the Celtics situation, Jason Tatum went down, and then who has to step up? Jaylen Brown. Who has to step up? Kristaps Porzingis. Who has to step up? Drew Holiday. People that have won a championship, people who've had the experience during the playoffs, and should already have basically that type of responsibility. When a situation like that happens, they have more experience than the Thunder. They have more experience than Chet Holmgren. So they should not predict it, but just, hey guys, things happen in life. Like if one of us goes down, y'all need to step up. And we saw the Celtics, at their home court, fan base, they did a good job. We knew the Knicks wanted to take it back home in the Madison Square Garden and finish it in front of their fan base. But when they went to Game 6, the Celtics didn't play like that good championship team that once can at least give them like a battle, a war without their star player. So what I'm trying to say is that at the same time, this type of mentality from those players changes the momentum when you lose your star player. And Jalen Williams is a star player for that team. And if they lose him, I cannot disrespect Indiana. I got to give Indiana Pacers the edge.
I mean, I'm not trying to disrespect Indiana, but again, Indiana didn't win 68 games this season, even with multiple pieces being out and in and out of the roster.
Well, that doesn't matter because they beat a team that had won 64 games.
It doesn't matter. I've been saying it since the beginning of the season.
Good point. Good point.
The West is going to be winning the finals, regardless of the situation. I've been saying
I also said that. Yeah, I also said that. But I said if they beat the Denver Nuggets, whoever they face, either the Golden State Warriors, the Minnesota Timberwolves in the third round, they're winning that series. And whoever they face in the finals, it could be Boston, it could be Cleveland, which none of them make it to the third round. Knicks, Pacers. I got OKC in 6, minimum 5. And just to wrap it up, like, I understand Mark Daigneault, coach of the year. He should have if I'm not mistaken, was he a runner-up as well this year? Because, I mean, they had, like, the best record.
Yeah, he was.
They had the best record in franchise history. So, obviously, in their defense is amazing. This is, like, one of the best defense we've seen in NBA playoff history and even in a season. So, that's why they got the edge to win it all. But Indiana, one thing that I've noticed since last season and this season, and these are real facts and stats. In order to beat a team like this, obviously, defense wins championships. But have you seen the teams that they face when they beat the Pacers? They literally, last year, had to average 123 or more to beat the Pacers. And this season, they've had to equally average 117 or more to beat Indiana. There's not been a game that a team has beaten the Pacers by them not scoring less than that. Maybe some of them, but mostly like 80% or more, teams have had to literally equalize what they score during the season, during the playoffs, or more to beat them.
It's like an NFL games, like a shootout, right? Where there's basically no defense, right? But like the final scores are gonna be like 130 to like 125 in like every single game, because there's just gonna be the defense. The defense is gonna be lacking. Even
you got something to say? No, Nick, I saw your face expression, so you got something to say?
Indiana is fast. They run fast. They run their offense extremely fast.
Yeah, fast pace, definitely.
Also, I will say before we transition, one final point about why I'm picking the Pacers. They have the experience. They have not just playoff experience, but they have NBA experience. The Thunder, I think, are too young to win a championship.
We've been saying they're too young to win a championship for years now.
Well, they haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Not like the Pacers.
The Pacers, they're in franchise history.
But they have more experience.
I mean,
they have guys like Tyrese has been around for a while now.
I mean, I know it's not the same. I know it's not the same players, but at the same time, last time OKC made it to the finals was 2012. Last time the Pacers made it was 2000. 25 years.
The only difference I would say is that they have more championship experience with Pascal Siakam, but even then, like, he's a better leader than Alex Caruso.
Thomas Bryant.
Oh, come on, man. Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. Thank you, Jokic. Thank you, Jamal Murray.
Hey.
Thank you, Mike Malone.
Hey. Although he didn't play, he got that ring.
Listen, at the end of the day,
James Johnson's about to get a ring.
At the end of the day, we're sitting here. We agree with the fact that anyone that came out of the West was going to win it this year. I don't see the difference on what makes the difference, because
they each won it last year.
Listen, OKC's defense against Minnesota,
it's crazy.
Every single game looked like it was back in the 80s or 90s.
For real, facts.
The East won last year. You're saying the West.
But who said it? But wait,
how is the West so dominant and yet the East won?
I think the West has more superstar players that play for their teams, and it's more competitive to win out of the West than it is the East. That's
why Indiana's going to
win. I mean, at the same time, Kolya, like the East was so flexible. It was easy for the Boston Celtics. The Heat were all down. The Cavaliers were down. The Pacers, they lost Tyrese Haliburton. Like, I mean, that was candy for them.
It was Mickey Mouse.
For real.
In a Disney World.
Come on, man. All right. So, did Anthony give his prediction of who's winning it? Like, he got the Pacers?
He had the strike and a half.
Pacers, lasers.
Yeah, he had the 1.5 strikes.
All right, so we're going to give Anthony a 2-week notice for him to, reevaluate what he said. And I'm
Well,
actually
2 weeks, the series might be over. So we'll see.
that's what I'm saying.
It won't be.
It is what it is. Sorry, Anthony, for that, but come up with something better for next time, and then we'll probably take in consideration. All right, this is the moment that Kolya and Nick have been waiting. The final 15 minutes of this show is because tomorrow, Game 1 between the Florida Panthers and Edmonton Oilers, which finished their conference final series winning 4-1 to make it, and both on the road, to make a return to the Stanley Cup Finals. All right, more chance on the Panthers winning back-to-back titles or the Oilers winning their first since 1990? We're going to give it to Nick, since this is the one that has been dying for this moment. He's got the hat.
I already know his take. Here. So I'm going to take the screen for a second before he comes back in. I have the Panthers winning this series in 7, personally. I think this is going to be a gritty series.
And on the road?
Yeah, I think it's going to go back and forth the entire time, and the Panthers have played better on the road than at home this entire season.
That's true.
They've been dominant on the road this playoffs, and we've seen it time and time again. So I have the Panthers going to 7 because I know McDavid's going to be hungry. I know Hyman's not playing this series, but the entire team is hungry. They want revenge for last season, and they're going to come out swinging.
That's what's scary.
I think Edmonton's probably going to win the first game, and then again, I just think the series is going to be flip-flop. I don't see what Florida will do like last time, where they won 3 straight and then they lost 3 straight. And then
of course, yeah.
I think it's going to be a lot more even though Zach Hyman is out, and losing Zach Hyman is huge for the Oilers just because of what he does. But Connor McDavid, and there's a stat out there where Sidney Crosby and some other great ones have lost their first Stanley Cup and then have gone back to win it. So that does scare me because McDavid and Leon Draisaitl have been dominant this season, and it's kind of like Kobe and Shaq in the NHL.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, bro, it's scary how. All right, so Connor McDavid, one of the best goal scorers to ever live, one of the best athletes. I'm not even talking about one of the best player, if not maybe when he retires, being the best player that we've ever seen in hockey. He can easily be. He's easily top 5. He's easily top 5. He's easily top 5. And
5 until he wins a ring. Once he wins his ring, then we'll discuss top 5.
Yeah, of course, rings matters. I understand. I understand that rings matter because the top 5 in MLB players and NBA, every single one of them have won at least minimum 2 rings. Yep. Just to top it all off. And I understand that type of debate that we can have after the NHL season, but this was more scary. Connor McDavid has 26 points. Most of them have been assists. So, we've seen him, facilitate the puck on ice, but what if he explodes in scoring? You know what I'm saying? Obviously, he's going to have a lot of attention, but around him, Evander Kane, he's also played good. Corey Perry, Leon Draisaitl,
who's been hot.
And at the same time, their defense actually played incredible against the Dallas Stars, and you saw the Stars struggling trying to score a goal, especially on Stuart Skinner. Stuart Skinner in this playoffs, he's 222 out of 244. That's only 22 goals that he's allowed. Look at all those saves, 222. In my opinion, in the offensive side, I see the Panthers being more explosive. But in the defense side, the Oilers, they can do a lot of damage, especially their goalkeeper. So that's why it actually scares me a lot, especially since the beginning to the end of the season. I've seen Connor McDavid's game face, he's hungry for that title. They've already made it, and I know there's this type of scenario that he touched the Western Conference trophy. That when that happens, that's bad luck. He's probably trying to reverse that, like the Red Sox did with the curse of the Great Bambino when they were down 0-3 against the Yankees in the 2004 league championship game. And all of a sudden came back, won it, and then went to World Series and won their first championship in more than 106 years, if I'm not mistaken. So that's also you seeing those type of signs that get you biting your fingers. Man, the Panthers, they don't got the advantage at home court. I mean, or what'd you say? Ice, ice on ice. At the same time, like you can see that defense wins championships, and that's exactly what the Oilers proved during this playoff run that we've seen. So you know what I'm saying? There's like a lot of not doubts, but at the same thing, a lot of questions that you're asking yourself about the Panthers entering this Stanley Cup Finals against the Oilers.
Well, but before you make your prediction,
what is Raul's prediction?
Well, I want to finish what I was going to say. Right now, and everybody was saying Hendrik Lundqvist and Paul Bissonnette, especially that the Florida Panthers are the standard of hockey right now. We know how to shut teams out. We know how to play more aggressive, and even everyone in the NHL knows that this is the standard for hockey. We play fast. We play our game. We know how to smother teams. Defensively, we have our guys. Like our defense is scoring more goals at times more than the offense.
That's true.
And that's something wild to think about because yes, that you have Edmonton with these great defenders and they know how to play defense, but I don't see it. Like really, the only players that have been keeping up, that in my eyes, have been the main guys and Leon Draisaitl, Evander Kane, Stu Skinner. And Connor McDavid. Like those
how do you have this series going 7?
I mean, I think it's going to be a rough one.
That's where after everything that I said about the Edmonton Oilers, and then the worrisome that I got about the Panthers, this is where people are going to be so confused about me because I got the Panthers. The only way they're winning this series is 6 games, not 7. 7 is a wrap for them. I got the Panthers in 6. They gotta do it in 6. They don't do it in 6, 7. They are not winning at Edmonton. I'm sorry, but you cannot risk doing that. You gotta finish it out at your ice. And at the same time, one thing that you talk about the defense scoring goals, you're absolutely true. Like Aaron Ekblad. He scores goals or he assists, including Nico Mikkola. Nico Mikkola has also been playing elite for this team in the
Seth Jones has been a non-defensive scorer for a while.
This playoff so it feels like he's like elevated that level.
Of course, but look at the.
I agree. Brent Burns. Yep.
Yeah.
So all right. So Kolya, who you got?
Take the phone. You can have the phone.
I think you guys already know. Who I'm going with.
So should I put the image?
Yeah. I'm going with that. I'm going with that man right there. I think he's gonna win his first one. All the signs are pointing towards Edmonton. 2008, 2009, there was a repeat finals. The Detroit Red Wings and the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Red Wings won the first time around. And then Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin came to play, and they won their first one. So, look, McDavid is maybe the best player in the league.
Well, very quickly, I would like to mention the Florida Panthers have cleaned it. Well, for every series that they've won away. I would also like to mention that. You can have the floor again.
Well, I think it's going to go 6. Edmonton's going to win in 6.
In Florida.
They're going to win in Florida. They're going to win in Florida.
So they're gonna take the hearts out of the Panthers fans,
exactly.
like Nick and I.
Just like the Celtics did with the Heat.
So what do you give them like the most edge over the Panthers?
I just feel like they've been playing incredible. I mean, it's not just McDavid, right? It's the other guys. The other guys have been stepping up and they've been playing well. So it's kind of like the like the Halliburton, right? You say he's more like facilitating, right? It's not just him; it's the whole team, and that's how I feel about the Oilers. It's like it's not just McDavid; it's Draisaitl, it's Corey Perry, as you mentioned. It's Evander Kane, who I would love to see get a ring too. So
I would also like
Stuart Skinner,
Nick and Kolya, do you think I know these players are the ones that are in the ice, but do you think coaching matters? Who's got the edge, Paul Morris or Chris Knobloch?
Absolutely, I think Paul Maurice has it in the bag over him.
I would agree.
Paul Maurice is one of the best coaches of all time, and not only that, I would like to also mention, this is a random stat, but the Panthers this season, when it comes to closing out their games away, they've been outscoring opponents 17-7.
Blowing them out.
That's why it's not going away. It's going home. That's what I'm saying. Panthers are going to lose at home in Game 6.
I mean,
they're going to lose.
I mean, you can give the edge a little
Again,
bit.
post me.
I mean, you can give the edge a little bit to the Oilers defense and their goalkeeper, but you can never, ever, ever underestimate, or not even underestimate. That's not the real word. You can, or maybe it is. You can literally,
Defense wins championships.
you can literally ever count out Sergei Bobrovsky. Like the dude is a beast, and in big moments when he needs to, like, you know what I'm saying, do his job and saves. Like, you know how many shots that they take on him and the saves that he averages. Like, and we saw it the first 3 games against the Oilers last Stanley Cup. He was a key factor. Then all of a sudden we can talk about politicians and how the Oilers came back, and all of a sudden they were scoring so many goals per win. And then in Game 7, what happened? Final score 2-1. Bobrovsky, in my opinion, was the most invaluable person at that game. And then during the playoffs, in the series against in the Eastern Conference Finals, like, he balled out. I mean, that's also aside from the offense scoring 5 or more goals. Like, at the same time, he was only permitting like 1 or 2.
Well, it's not
per those wins when they finished it off against the Hurricanes.
I don't want you to forget the best defensive center in the entire NHL back-to-back seasons, and Alexander Barkov, who added another trophy to his resume as well. And Alexander Barkov, we saw it last year. He played great against McDavid. The person that stood out to me that could not play against McDavid was Aaron Ekblad, who was a human traffic cone at that point.
Yeah.
But even then, he even joked about it with having the traffic cone on his head.
Yeah.
I hope to see that again when we get to see another human traffic cone.
The Panthers offensively, I can give them the edge, more explosiveness. I mean, you just said, Alexander Barkov, Sam Bennett, Brad Marchand. Like, you've seen the goals that they had and the assist. It's like basically either they facilitate or they score. I mean, look at the points that every single player of those have. They got double-digit points, like from the defense side to the offensive side. And from the defense side, they got more goals scored than the Oilers defense during the playoffs. So that's why I feel like they're a more collective team. But at the same time, like, this type of moments, like injuries is a factor. At the same time, like a bad night, a bad evening can cost you a game. We've seen it in soccer. We've seen it in the NFL playoffs. I mean, I know this is a 7-game series apart from those type of scenarios, but like that can also become like a quicksand.
I mean,
a quicksand that could be another. So, and like the Oilers right now, like mentally, they are ready for this moment. The Panthers, I know they're not like, how do you say? They just won a championship, and all right, they're okay with that. I know they're also hungry to have it back to back. I mean, 3 finals appearances. They're trying to become a dynasty. And I know that the first one that they lost against the Golden Knights, that one hurt to them, and you felt that. I mean, having last season one of like most, not complete, but like great seasons you can see from an NHL team, and all the way to winning. This season they didn't have like the most consistent, but they were still like a sleeper in the East, and right now making it all the way to the Stanley Cup. I mean, who right now is the favorite? The Oilers, because they got the ice advantage.
I mean, personally,
I think Florida are the favorite.
Florida will have the edge in this series. I mean, again, in my opinion, they just have the deeper roster. I just think it's going to 7 because I just have that feeling. Like last year, for example, like everyone expected the clean sweep, but then out of nowhere, Edmonton came back. I just think it's going to be a lot closer this time since Edmonton's a lot more hungry to win this year. They want to show that Canada can win the championship.
The Oilers are slightly favored.
Oh, the Oilers are favored.
The Oilers are slightly favored, and at the same time, it's something similar of what we saw from the Chiefs winning it back to back. Because when they played, before when they beat the Eagles, like the Eagles actually had the edge.
Yeah.
Not and we saw a little bit of that scenario from not last season because the Panthers they had their ice stadium advantage and all that. But then this season you've seen the Oilers who are the favorites, just like we saw with the 49ers being the favorites against the Chiefs, and then the Chiefs went back to back. I mean, not the same team, but two good offensive mindset teams with offensive mindset coach like Nick Sirianni and also Cal Shanahan. I'm talking about the Chiefs. The Chiefs beating both teams.
Right,
So you know what I'm saying? Like I can see some similar scenario with the Panthers. You know what I'm saying? They're not the favorites, but they should be, and they want to become a dynasty. So I can see them like going to 3 Stanley Cups and only winning one. Like it's like a little bad resume to them, even though like exactly it's not a dynasty, and that's what hockey teams are trying to become. Like the Bruins, you saw the Red Wings when they had their times, and other ones. So like, and this is actually like an open window, maybe not the only, but like a real opportunity window for the Panthers in this decade, or what we're right now, half of this decade, and starting the second half of this decade to, you know what I'm saying, really become it.
Yeah, I just think the Panthers have the edge because they've had their core seven. If they win it this year, they're in my eyes they're considered. And I don't want to be biased at all, but just the way they've been playing hockey, it's one of the best teams I've ever seen play the game.
So
it may sound crazy to you. It may sound crazy to a lot of you guys.
Yeah.
But I don't want to sound biased, but the way they play at their level.
Yeah, of course.
When they're
hot. Yep.
You don't see teams like this. Like you don't see teams like this come like all the time. Like Washington, for example, when they won their championship, like they were hot. Like they were on.
Capitals. Yep.
Like, they don't look anything as close to this team that I've seen. Like even last year, like I don't consider that team to be one of the greatest teams of all time. But if this core seven that they've been able to continue for 3 years now, even a little bit longer to win, and I know you're giving me that look already, but I think they would be considered one of the best core 8 players of all time. I mean, you would have Alexander Barkov, Carter Verhaeghe, Sam Reinhart. You have Anton Lundell. You have Evan Rodriguez. You have Matthew Tkachuk, and you have
Evan Rodriguez has also facilitated the pot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have all these guys that are all centers. They're all listed as centers, playing different positions on the ice that can all facilitate.
Versatile.
It's hard to see teams that are able to do this and build a structure like they have and a system like they have to win big games and win big moments. And clearly, we've seen the experience, and clearly we've seen them learn and go win it. And we like that first against Vegas. Everyone thought that was it, and we're never going back. Like that was like our championship run, we're done. And then the next we go back to back finals and actually win it. It brought so much hope. And then
I agree.
And you guys know, I never lost hope throughout this season. I never lost my hope, even with Tkachuk being injured. But the team, the way they play, it's incredible. These guys, they have the veterans, they have the players.
It's like also when the Warriors went back to back with KD. Like you can also see you can give hope to the Cavaliers, but just one game could basically cost you the rest of the series. And the Panthers basically are like that Warriors team that they actually are maybe have that expectations to go back to back. And they're just a team that you can find a way to try to beat them, but they're just too collectively good and versatile. And they got one of the greatest coaches. They got one of the best goalkeepers. They got an elite offense, and then their defense is scoring goals. Like, so I understand why, you know what I'm saying, you have that much hype and praise towards that team. You and me were definitely the other opposite of how much this series is going to last. I got them winning 6. If they don't win in 6, I'm sorry. But the Oilers, that's where Kolya probably going to win his prediction. And what about Anthony? Just to wrap it up.
He did Panthers in 6.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
All right, so that's 3-1. And then we're 2-2 in the NBA Finals.
3-1 for both.
Nick, let's get it, man. And we're going to be talking about this next week. You know what I'm saying? The first games of both series in the NHL Stanley Cup and the NBA Finals. So we're gonna have and lots to talk about in the further when the NHL NBA season comes to an end with all these coaches being fired and other scenarios like the future of Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Kevin Durant. That right now it looks like the Phoenix Suns are actually gonna lower their standards of what they're gonna be asking for him, and other big moves, the upcoming NBA draft, etc. So we got a busy summer. Let's wrap it up, obviously, with the NHL Stanley Cup and NBA Finals. So guys, let's see what happens in this next days. Like the Stanley Cup is tonight, Wednesday. We already got our predictions. Tomorrow's NBA Finals. So I'll see you guys next week.
Sounds good. See
Go,
you.
Take care.
Warriors and Pacers.
Oh man, come on, take care.
Let's go.
Let's go!